Hello, 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 everyone. How is everyone?
Hey,
I'm
hey,
just
hey.
going live on Instagram. Looks like I have to put in a new key for Instagram Live so we can go live. Just give me one moment. Beautiful. Okay. Give me 2 seconds so we can go live. Okay. And I believe we are live on Instagram.
All right. Girl, I love your energy. I swear I do.
Come through,
Yes, yes,
y'all.
yes.
Happy Monday, y'all. It is June 30th. Is today the last day of June?
I think so, but
Okay.
don't quote me on it.
I think so too. Let me
I feel
turn my
like it
light.
is closing.
Okay. Ooh, the light is on. Okay, beautiful. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Margarita Room. I am your hostess, Ricky. I am the free woman leader of the Escape the Matrix Nomad Transitioning Lab and Free Black Woman. Today, I am joined by the powerful Asha Blewett. She is the founder of the Remind Protocol. She's a healer. She's a Georgia peach. She is an educator. She is an intuitive with over 17 years. Girl, 17 years of clinical experience in mental health. Now, Asha comes from a long bloodline of Creole seers, come through New Orleans, healers, ministers, herbalists, and spiritual leaders. She's been called to serve since childhood, and her work blends ancestral wisdom, of course, psychological depth, and energetic healing to help others remember who they truly are. Oh, I love this. Now,
Yes.
with background in mental health, education, real estate, and spiritual care, Asha is dedicated her life to helping people shift their mindset, heal their nervous systems, and manifest lives aligned with their higher selves. Now, through the Remind Protocol, she helps people reclaim their power and rewrite their patterns, which is so important, and helps create lasting transformation in the mind, body, and soul. Welcome,
Thank
Asha.
you, thank you, thank you for having me. Oh my goodness, what an intro.
Yes, girl, that's all you. That is all
Oh my
you.
stars. I guess you don't really think about it, all laid out. Even
Yeah.
if you write it up, you still
Mhm.
aren't really thinking about all the things that you've done. And then you hear it and you're just like, oh, wow, I guess, yeah, that does line up with what's going
Yeah.
on right now for sure.
Yeah, it does line up. It does line up. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Spirit, for bringing Asha and I together.
Yes.
Our ancestors, those names who we know and those who we don't know. Thank you to our nature spirits. Thank you to the Most High. And thank you to our higher selves who have connected.
1000%. Absolutely. All those things, all those beings, all those reasons. It is here for this
Are we
purpose
blanking
today.
out? Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
P.S. By the way, y'all know that I live in the jungle of Costa Rica. So if I happen to blank in and out, I will be right back. Are we frozen?
No, you
Are
were
we
for a second,
frozen?
but I think you're back up now.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, like I said, y'all know that I live in the jungles of Costa Rica. And sometimes my internet goes in and out. So, if I happen to freeze or, blank out for a moment, just know I'll be right back with y'all. Okay. So,
Perfect.
today, my intention is to shine the light on a door to freedom. And Spirit was playing for me Free Your Mind by En Vogue, right? Free your mind
And
and
the
the
rest will
rest
follow.
will follow. Yes, 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 yes. So let's just jump right into it, Asha, because
Okay.
um, freeing your mind is something that I have been doing actively, actively since 2022, once
Okay.
I retired from the New York City Police Department. So, can you take us back to the moment when you first knew that you were called to be a healer? And how does your lineage show up for you in this realization?
It's kind of a really silly story, a little bit actually. I was 3 years old. I have
Mm,
memories that date back earlier than that, but this specifically connected to the gifting. At 3, I was had this dream that I was standing at the door, and I saw my brother riding his bike down the hill, and I saw this burgundy car come and hit him and threw him off the bike, and it scratched off his eyebrow. Right.
mm,
Don't think anything of it. The very next day, I'm standing in front of the door and I see my brother on the bike coming down the hill. And I think to myself, I wonder, is the burgundy car going to show up? Sure enough, the burgundy car comes and hits my brother. I say to my mom, I had a dream about this last night. She says, it's okay, baby. We'll talk about it later. Let's go make sure your brother is okay. So I said, I think his eyebrow is gone. And she was like, what? So we run across the street. My brother's eyebrow still has not completely grown all the way back in from that incident. Seriously, but at 3 years old. And so she sat me down. Fortunately for me, coming from the bloodline that I came from, it wasn't mysticized and it wasn't demonized and it wasn't villainized and it
Oof,
wasn't anything but cultivated. So there I grew up not knowing certain things were taboo because that's just how we were raised. My mom is from
yes,
California. She was an herbalist.
mhm,
Just always has been on the alternative side of things. So, you know, I remember my brother and sister getting stuck. My sister's leg got stuck in the landing. You know how you put your leg in the rail and slide down?
yes, I did
Well,
it
we
as
did
a kid.
that. I think everybody kind of right. Well, my sister being older with a larger leg, her leg gets stuck, right? So we don't know anything. I go get all the herbs out of my mom's cabinet. So we're giving her
Oh,
vitamin C and vitamin E. So we finally, I had sense enough to know to call 911 and have somebody to come. But of course, when the fire people get there, they're laughing at us because they're like, what are all these vitamins about? We're like, we don't know. This is what we were taught to do. If you got a problem,
yes.
you take some herbs, you take a vitamin, kind of thing. And so we just that's how we came up. So we just didn't know anything different. We were having yoga races and
Mm.
understanding the zodiac and the tarot and all kinds of things very very early
Oh.
on. So it just was never like a thing to learn. It was always something that was just always there.
Okay, so do you now, speaking of herbs, right? Spirit led me to bring my bushel of herbs out of rosemary and thyme. So if you could just give us two tips for each herb, what we could use rosemary or and thyme for. That's number one. And number two, being that you grew up around this, right? Your mom is from California. She's an herbalist. You grew
Hmm.
up around the tarot. Tapped in ever since you were a little bit. Do you have a witch wound? Because I know I
Do I have a
do. Do
what?
you have the witch wound, meaning like being called a witch because you use herbs and incense and you
Oh, of
use the
course. I've
elements?
always been called 1,000%. It was either weird, a witch, or weird or witch, or if they were trying to be nice and not offensive, strange. Like I don't know
Straight.
what that's all about. But 1,000%, I operated as a two-headed practitioner for many many years because I
Now, what
spent
does
a
that
lot of.
mean? Two-headed practitioner.
So basically, before you couldn't just come out and say, I operate in hoodoo practitioning. I deal in zodiac or tarot or whatever, because specifically if you're in the Bible Belt, people want to burn you at the stake.
Yes,
So a
that's the
lot of
witch
our
wound. That's the
grandmothers.
witch wound.
a lot of our grandmothers were hoodoo practitioners but could not identify themselves, so they gave you the onion cut up and told you to put it in your sock, or they put this oil on you, or they had some jar of something in the refrigerator or in the kitchen that they would use at certain times for
Yes.
certain things, but they
Yes.
just didn't identify themselves as a practitioner, because people think of witch, but the question was witchcraft.
Right.
Which one are you operating under? Are you
Yes.
dealing with
Yes.
the
Yes.
numbers? Are you dealing with the stars? Are you dealing with the herbs? Are you dealing with, oils and extracts? What craft are you dealing in? And so yes, but I think for me, I was more concerned about the people that I had worked with in ministry being affected than I was really concerned about being judged or being thought of as a witch. I was
Now, when
buying
you
some.
say ministry, are you talking about church?
Yes, I'm talking about actual church in ministry, 7 years over the youth evangelism team, prison ministry. So it's interesting having certain conversations with people who were, Christians or, study the Bible, but haven't actually studied the Bible.
Oh shit!
So if you want to
Wow!
have the conversation, we can have the conversation, because
Woo!
they were casting lots in the Bible. What do you think they were doing?
What? Woo!
I just
That
had
came
this.
to me today. That came to me today, this morning, as I'm driving home from the beach. Um, after dancing, just so many things, so many messages come to me, and they showed me a church, and
Mhm.
they showed me someone like you or me, right, who works with the land, who works with the earth, the stars, and it's the same shit.
I literally took the Metanetter, the Bible, the Torah, the Kabbalah, anything with the 12 house. You literally can stack it on top of each other. It's the exact same principle, because it's the exact same energy. It's the exact same deity. It's the exact same power. It's not anything different. People
Woo!
might call toothpaste something different somewhere else, but it's still toothpaste.
Yes. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah,
So
we
what?
create
So
way more
so
separation.
absolutely. So what have you learned between being in ministry, right? The church,
Hmm.
being in an actual church, the Bible Belt, right? Georgia,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
Um, then being in the prison system. Did you incorporate your teachings from a child, from being a seer, from dealing with herbs and oils and all this other stuff in your ministries, when you're dealing with the children, when you're dealing with the church, when you're dealing with in the
Oh
prison?
man, let me tell you about this oil I made, right?
Girl,
So
oil.
I'm over the youth department, right? And I want to say, don't quote me on it, but I want to say Exodus 30 gives you a recipe for oil, right?
Okay, okay.
So Spirit tells me to make the oil.
Mm-hmm.
I don't question. I'm like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I go over here to get some stuff. I go over here to get some stuff. And then I call the pastor and I'm like, hey, listen, I've got a couple more ingredients, because he initially laughed at me when I said I was going to make the oil.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the ingredients are coming together, he's like, oh, wow, this is actually coming together. I'm able to make the conversions on the measurements and everything. And I needed the last two ingredients. Well, the only place that I could get it from was a witch and a warlock. They had a herb store up in DC, right? So I called the pastor and I'm like, hey, pastor, I have everything but the last two ingredients. And the only way that I can get them, I'm going to have to get them from some witches. They're the only people who has it. So he says, go with God, sister. So I said,
Woo!
okay, cool.
That's what I'm talking
Now, mind
about.
you, I have to give props where props is due. Before he became a pastor, he was actually Elohim. So he was conscious of some things that the average pastor would not necessarily be conscious of. That
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
said, I get the herbs, right? I bring them all together and I do exactly what I'm led to do. I have all the children dressed in white. We come together. We're going to do this at midnight. I'm obeying everything that's being said. We put all the ingredients together. Nothing in the ingredients were red, but by the time we mixed everything, it turned the color of blood red. as we're stirring it, you could feel the heat coming off of it. Like this. I can. There are children that are now adults that were there and experienced this that particular night to validate this experience. And that oil was used, and people were getting out of jail, people were coming
Woo!
out of the hospitals, people's diagnoses were being reversed, people's marriages were coming back together, people were driving from out of state to come and get vats of that oil. So
What was the intention behind this oil, Asha?
to heal, to set free, to do whatever it needed
Woo!
to do in that point, in that purpose, for sure. It was to anoint the highest self, because it was an oil you generally use to anoint ministers who are going to another level.
Aha.
So
Aha.
the intention was whatever it needed to do for that higher self to get them to that next level, and it did
Freedom.
it.
Freedom.
Yes. So
Freedom.
now, if anybody knew that the part of those herbs came from a witch's den, I don't know. And it was so funny because I went in there and I'm in there just kind of like tinkering around, and the warlock is on my ass. Do you hear me? So he
Mm-hmm.
walks up to me and says, "What are you in here doing?"
Oh.
I look up, I look up at him, right? And his wife kind of slides over and puts her hand on his chest and says, "She's okay."
Yes,
And
yes,
he
yes,
just
yes,
kind of
yes,
looks at me and
yeah.
walks off. So I heard him and
Thank
got my
you,
herbs and got
goddess.
up out of there. Like, Lord have mercy, what in the world is going on? So that
Thank
was
you,
hilarious.
goddess. So here's the question.
Mhm.
I mean, clearly, you were called in by the Most High. This is part of your mission, one of your many missions, right? Because we have many missions. So
Correct.
this is part of your mission to open the way, provide, shine the light on a door to freedom, to freedom. And you've been doing this now for a very long time, over 17 years. Um, Now, you also, with the mental health, can
Mhm.
well, first of all, can we talk about first rosemary and thyme?
Mm.
What we could use this for to us aid in our freedom.
Mm. Um, I personally, those are two herbs that I ingest.
Hmm.
Um, you can burn them. I always tell people everybody's all on this sage, 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 which is wonderful, but understand that when you sage a space, you clear out everything in that space. So those two in particular are two herbs that you can actually burn to bring sweetness, to bring that positive energy back into, to bring about a balance. Specifically for us as women, it's ideal for us to burn something sweet. Most of us are having to operate in such masculine spaces
Hmm.
that we are not able to lean into that sweetness as much. So
Hmm.
once we clear out that energy, it's a really good one to be able to burn, to be able to bring that energy back in. But those are two in particular that I eat.
Hmm.
I cook a lot with, just because of the cleansing properties on them, and the restorative properties in them, and specifically with the rosemary, the sweetness
Hmm.
of it. I usually use it if I'm cooking something sweet and savor. Um,
Yes.
so I'm more ingestibles now, with extracts like oils and different things like that. Like I made an oil that's got some of everything in it.
Hmm.
Oil of oregano, black seed oil, tea tree oil, almond oil, aloe. It's got all kinds of stuff, and it's literally anything that you could have wrong with your skin, it will bring it back together. So I'm more into the extracts, and just if I'm led.
Hmm.
I made a tonic one time, girl. I don't even know what was in it. You know, when you're in your 20s, you don't think about things like, write it down, right? So I had my hoodoo kitchen and all my stuff
Yeah.
in it, and I made this pot, right? And I listened. I had to let it ferment for a while, a couple days, couple different things I had to do, and then by the end of it, I take a teaspoon of it. And
Hmm.
baby, you talking about like some type of Viagra or whatever? I gave it to my husband at the time. We're in there
Woo!
storing all over each other. I was like, "Oh, we need to pass this around." We were
I know
veterans at the
that's right.
time, And so, girl, we were passing this stuff out to these people. It was dropping blood sugars, blood pressures,
Mm-hmm.
erectile dysfunction wasn't dysfunctioning anymore. Like it was, I felt so horrible after we had sold the last bottle and there
Mm,
was no more. Because again, you don't think about the impact that you have at the time. You're
listen,
just doing, right?
you're just
So then I
doing.
got this whole drove of people coming back that want more, and I don't even know what's in it to
Mm-hmm.
say I can remake it, that kind of thing. So I've learned now to, write my recipes down.
Write them
Um,
down.
absolutely. Um,
Yes, yes,
so that you
yes.
can recreate
Mhm.
what it
And
is because
remember.
you've got to remember. And that's the thing. We've all been reconditioned,
Mm-hmm.
or shaped, is a term that a lot of people can understand,
Mm,
into being one way or the other that is completely contrary to who we are, or we've been made to believe that who we are, there's something wrong with, when generally that's probably your ministry, your calling, your purpose is directly connected to that thing that you struggle with. I
that's
did a
right.
session with a sister earlier today that was battling with a lot of demonic spirits, not
Woo.
realizing she actually has a deliverance ministry. Um,
Mm.
she doesn't just have the spirit of discernment. She has the gift of discernment, which is very different. Like she can look at you and tell it's a lying spirit in operation. It's a chaotic spirit in operation. And so being able to reframe some things for her and how she was perceiving things and give her that,
Yes.
yeah, give her that recording to be able to take. And now you're seeing these things because you actually have dominion over it. You have the ability to cast, you have the ability to bind, you have the ability to operate and set people free from a spiritual warfare, from a place of chaos, because that depth of which you've been delivered or worked through is the capacity that you have of the gifting to share with others. That's where we're able to give from that overflow. But it took her having to first realize what the gifting was in her to be able to then understand this is why it's there. It's not there to make you feel like you're crazy. It's
Yes.
there for you to be able to identify what these spirits are, to
Yes.
be
Yes.
able to
Yes.
look
Yes.
at someone and see
Woo.
how they are bound and be able to guide them to the place of freedom. This sister
I
took
know
herself
that's right.
seriously,
Asha.
right? She was able to identify the spirit, where it rested, like all these things. And so as I'm taking her through this session, I'm also side noting because I'm like, this chick doesn't even know where her purpose is. And part of us coming together, most of the time, I end up dealing with practitioners who either are about to start their practice or are at a plateau and they need to get their own last piece of it together so that they can go to that next level and ascend. But as much as we talk about the ascension, we very rarely talk about the tearing away
Mm.
and how much thing breaking away you have to leave behind, people, things,
Yes.
habits, mindsets that you have to break away in order to ascend. And fear a lot of times will keep us bound in
Yes.
that dimension that we need to ascend from, or fear that what's going to happen to these people when I leave them.
Mm.
Well, maybe you leaving them will allow them to ascend as well, and you'll see them later.
Mm.
Maybe this is where they need to be for their purpose and you've got to move on for yours, but there's provisions already laid up for you in that next dimension if you can go through the tearing away process to ascend, because ascension is not fun. It looks
Uh,
good at the end of it, but the process is
the
horrible.
process is grueling. It can be very painful.
Yes.
Very, very, very painful. It can be lonely.
Whew.
Uh, for myself, uh, it's a constant reminder that I am free. As you can see, Ricky is free. This is a
Yes.
constant reminder that I have to. I tell myself this on a daily basis that I am free. Born and raised in New York City, originally from the Moon. However, I was born and raised in New York City to my parents, Robin and Derek. I became a
Hmm.
police officer at the age of 22
Oh,
and
wow.
was NYPD for over 17 years. My last assignment was domestic violence officer. I was severely injured in the line of duty. multiple surgeries on my body, which then allowed me to retire early. And that is why I am currently in Costa Rica. Spirit allowed me
Yes.
to move on, to ascend to my next part of my
Mm.
mission. So, rewiring, right? I didn't realize how programmed I was. Right, working for an entity like the NYPD for over 17 years.
It is a
So
fraternal order.
oh yes, 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 yes. So
That's a whole nother level
that's
of
that's
connection.
a whole thing, right? That is a whole
Yes.
thing that I am I work on constantly, daily, to rewire my
Mhm.
brain. So
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about what you do with the Remind protocol. Now, what
Mhm.
exactly is the Remind protocol, and how does it help people like myself and others rewire their minds, or like your client today, right? Rewire their minds, heal, and remember their truth.
So what happens is, right? We think we got things figured out, right? We know what's wrong with us. We think we do, right? And so we do all of our mantras and we do all of our therapy sessions and we take our meds and we go to church or we go to the masjid or whatever we do, whatever our practices are, we do them, right? The problem is we don't really address the root and the underlying foundation of this, right? And it really starts in the mind. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is somewhere before the womb, in the womb, or after the womb, a message got imputed in us that we were unlovable, that we were not enough, or that we were so intrinsically different we can't connect to other people. And so that can be yours is we both can feel unlovable, right? But your reason and what was reinforced for you, it can be different from mine, but it ultimately gives that same bottom line. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel lovable, right? So what happens is this could start because your parents divorce, right? And then one parent leaves and you don't know this as a child, but the parent is suffering from depression and whatever, alcoholism, whatever may happen, and that parent is now absent. But the message that it sends you is that you're not lovable, right? And then you get into a relationship with a guy and then he ends up cheating on you and going with another girl. Okay, now it's reinforced again. You're unlovable,
Woo!
right? The things we don't talk about, right? And then you find yourself in another situation where you are trying to interject yourself into the wrong social network and you're not getting the response or the feedback that you need. And instead of you realizing these are just not your people,
Girl!
you go back to I'm unlovable. So
Oh!
when you have that message, then you feel like you have to show up and do more than
Mm,
everybody else does to receive that love.
mm,
So now you're overcompensating. Now you're chasing after people. Now you're chasing after things because you don't feel the value within yourself to attract that, right? And so what happens is, I don't know what's going to happen in any session, right? I was prepared to do some child integration, but we needed to do trauma work and we needed to give you your purpose and we needed to get you through some deliverance and we needed it took a completely left turn to the
mhm.
point of me just putting the scripts down
I know that's
because
right.
this ain't what we're here to do, so sis, let's go, because 98% of what you think, do, and feel is ruled in your subconscious. You're only conscious aware of 2%. We don't
Mm,
really know what's going on and we don't know why we behave that way, but our
mm,
subconscious does.
mm,
And so what we do is get you into a theta state so that your conscious mind can shut up and allow your subconscious to tell us what is going on.
okay.
She went into the session thinking she needed to deal with anger.
Mm.
Her issue was the spirit of chaos.
Woo! Spirit of chaos!
Okay? So now you thought anger. So if I had gone in on your conscious thought, we would have done all this work on anger. But you and I and most of us know that anger is actually a secondary emotion. anytime you feel anger, you need to explore what is the root of that. Do you feel neglected? Do you feel abandoned? Do you feel unloved? Do you feel slighted? Do you feel judged? What is causing you to feel anger? So again, we go in. Sometimes you see a scene, sometimes you don't. Um, a lot of my clients are able to take me right to a scene that will reveal anger, anxiety, fear, whatever the underlying root of it is. And then two more scenes are going to reinforce that. You're going to give me another scene. You're going to give me another scene, and we'll be able to see, okay, this is anger, this is anxiety, this is whatever it is, right? Um, and then we work through that because, again, we're still looking at things as a child even as in our big grown age, we still see things that happen to us as a child from a child's perspective. So a lot of times you've got to go back in and reframe, just like I was talking about before. The parent may have been suffering from depression. The parent
Yes.
may have gotten caught up in some type of addiction that the
Yes.
child cannot understand or process at
Yes.
7 or 8 years old. But
Yes.
at your good grown age, you can
Yes.
understand how a person who's going through a divorce and going through depression and going through alcoholism might
Yes.
not be the best parent showing up for you at that time,
Yes.
right? Now that
Oh,
doesn't excuse that parent, right?
not at
Because that
all.
still is shit behavior. You still should have gotten your shit together and taken care of your kid, right? But we don't live in this perfect world. We live in a world that is real, and real things happen every day, and things don't always play out the way that they should. And so part of my work is not necessarily to get people to forgive either,
Mm,
because um I've had clients who are just like, fuck her for
mm,
doing X, Y, and Z. And there hadn't been a space where they could safely say, because it's their mom, right? So whenever I have clients that are coming and they're trying to make all of these excuses, two things can be real at the
mhm.
exact same time and be in opposition. You
Yes.
can
Yes.
say
Yes.
fuck your mama and you can still love your mama too.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
fuck
Yes.
her for that shit she did.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
not fuck her as entirety as your mom, but certainly
Yes.
for that foul shit she did.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you can't validate what
Mhm,
happened to you without having to make excuses for why they did it, you
mhm.
never actually validate what happened to you. You're constantly downplaying it, and until you go through that emotion, until you accept, hey, I had a crappy parent. Hey, so and so didn't show up. Hey, they shouldn't have touched me. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have. You can't return to sender. You're
Yeah.
still holding on to it because you're making excuses for it, and you're validating your abuse. You're validating your
Woo!
trauma. And you don't have to do that for anybody. It can just sit right there and just be foul, and that's just what it was. And in some situations, that's just what it is. There is no excuse other than you're sick and you should have gotten some therapy, or you should have kept yourself away from children, or you should have not put yourself in a position to steal, or whatever the thing is.
Mhm,
the
mhm.
the abuser or the offender has some responsibility in that, especially if you already know this about yourself.
Yeah.
So what I do is I quiet the subconscious, the conscious mind, allow the subconscious to tell us what the issue is. Once I
Mhm.
find out the issue is, I'm able to reframe it, and then you get a recording,
Okay.
and in that recording you have the reframe.
Mhm.
So all I do, because the subconscious does not process negative information in the sense of, you can't say I'm not scared anymore.
Mhm,
You're scared now.
mhm,
The
mhm.
subconscious needs to hear, I am powerful, I am confident, I am strong. It
Mm,
has to hear the opposite of fear, because fear can't exist in those same spaces, right?
mm,
So you're reframing the mind into what it is and who you
mhm.
actually are, because you weren't fearful until fear came in. You didn't feel unlovable until it was introduced.
Mhm.
And so we go back and we reframe it, and then you are able to listen to that recording that reminds you
I
of who
got it.
you are, what your purpose is, how you move now. So it just depends. If you were, if it's a child to adult integration, then it's reminding you of who you are now and
Mhm.
giving that space where you're integrating that child, basically bringing it internally, where you're now the parent and you're now able to take care of that child, and it doesn't have to act out anymore. You can move forward from that space. You've integrated that child with the current adult now. Or if it's trauma, some people have trauma stored in their body somewhere. that needs to be released and it's causing sickness or chronic pain. I don't ever know what we're going to get into until we get in it. Whether I'm
Now,
good. Go ahead.
now I have a question. You
Hmm.
say you get us into the this bee keeps coming and flying right here. Hello, ocean.
Apparently, it wants to participate in the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. She landed right on me and then I put her on the floor and now I don't know. So you say that you get the clients into a theta state. Now,
Hmm.
how are you doing this? Is this hypnosis? Is the client laid out? Are you speaking words? Are you playing music? What is
What's the process?
yes, what is the process?
Okay, so I studied traditional hypnotherapy, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Yes.
And I would use certain tenets of it for my clients. So, for example, if I had a client who suffered from panic attacks or
Mhm.
sleep insomnia or something of that nature, then I would give them hypnotherapy techniques. But the problem with traditional hypnotherapy is if you got an hour session, it's going to take me about 30 minutes or so to get you from relaxed from the tip of your toes to the top of your head. Okay. Then we're going to do 20 minutes of work, 10 minutes of recap. You really only got 30 minutes of services for real. You feel good, but the work is not, you're not really able to get it done. So I invested in myself and paid about $10,000 to learn this neurological trick that puts you into the REM state in minutes.
Mhm.
So the only limitation is if a person has epilepsy or some type of seizure disorder, the
Mhm.
position that you have to hold your eyes in could potentially trigger a seizure. So those are the only clients that I'm not able to do this particular technique with.
Mhm.
So traditional hypnotherapy, no. Would it be classified under the same kind of, because it's REM hypnotherapy, thousand
Yeah.
percent, but it is not traditional in the sense that it doesn't take as long. We can actually get in and get the work done. So
Mm.
5 minutes of taking you in, and then the
Woo!
rest of that 90 minutes we're doing hardcore work, we're doing reframe, you got your recording, we're
Yes,
all good.
I love
um
it.
the other thing that people are, and I had to explain today, a lot of people, she sister said she did hypnotherapy before and she never did it again because she fell asleep and didn't know what was going on. So
Mhm.
she was thinking that because she was not technically asleep with me, that she wasn't as responsive. But I'm like, girl, bye. Like, you were about to have a panic attack, we pulled you right out of that, you were coming out, we put you deeper. Like, no, you were completely susceptible. I said, as soon as you start feeling that rapid eye movement in your eyes, baby, it was
Yes,
over for you. She was like, I didn't feel it. And oh my goodness. And she was like, I thought it was weird. Like, why would I be asleep? I don't even know what happened. I'm like, girl, how is it therapy if you're not talking? I need you to participate and tell me what's going on so I know where
yes,
how to guide you. But it's your subconscious that's in the driver's seat. I'm just giving directions once I know where we're going. That's
girl.
and so, I mean, I tell people all the time, this is not stage hypnotherapy. You're not going to bark like a dog or fall in love with a fire hydrant. There is 10% of the population that is super susceptible, and they just find those people and have them bark like a dog. But I'm not here for entertainment. I'm here for therapeutic purposes.
I know
And
that's right.
at the end of the day, if I had the ability to control your mind, I would just go find 5 rich people and have them transfer all of their funds into my account, and I wouldn't have to work anymore. We're all very conscious, no matter how deep you're under.
Mhm.
If you've got to go to the bathroom, you're not going to go to the bathroom on yourself. If you need to blow your nose, you're going to blow your nose. You're just not going to be in the super conscious state. So that theta state is really that period right before you wake up, like you're waking up from your sleep, but you're not fully aware. So you might still have your eyes closed and you're just feeling really kind of floaty. And that's usually the time when we might pray or we might meditate because you're a lot more susceptible. It's a lot easier to get into that state because
Mhm.
you're kind of shutting out the subconscious. The conscious mind hasn't really had an opportunity to fully wake. It's the same thing if you're when you're going off to sleep. It's also the same state if you are into meditation, if you're into deep prayer. It is that exact same state. So if somebody kicks your door in, you coming up from prayer. You you know what's going on. So you're still aware, you're just hyper focused on the work that you're doing while you're
Yes,
in
I
that
can
state.
I can totally resonate with that. When I'm dancing, it's like I'm in that state of in between, like I'm
Yeah,
there, I'm not there. And if something comes into my energy, into my auric field that is, whatever, I am definitely able to,
shift and
come
know and
to,
sense it and
yes, yes, yes,
act
sense
if
it.
necessary. If you need to move your
Absolutely.
location so that you're
Absolutely.
no longer close enough to their energy field to be affected by it,
Absolutely.
all of that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
1000%. And as a Scorpio, of course, you're going to be super sensitive to all of the things that are going on because,
Yes.
the water is going to tell you what is in it. You put a little dirt in water, it's mud. You stick it in the freezer, it's ice. You put it on
I
the
know
stove,
that's
it's
right.
steam. You guys embody things in a completely different way than most people. So
Yes.
if you picking up on it, it's being put down
Mhm.
for sure.
Yes. Beautiful. So I have a question. So you you have worked with children, you've worked with families, you've worked with people in jail that have complex trauma. So what are some common blocks that you see when people are trying to heal or manifest across the board? What is the common thread between humans that you have worked with?
The only common thread I would say is just they think something is wrong with them. Um, when in fact there isn't. Even
Mhm.
if there are chemicals that are not necessarily balanced that create certain behavior patterns, that person is operating in their perfection. It's just a matter of navigating. So when I was as a clinician, I would have a lot of children who didn't like to take the medication because of how it affected them. And
Yes,
quite
yes,
honestly, let's just be real about it. The
yes.
medication that people who are suffering from mental illnesses are taking is not for them. It's for us to feel more comfortable around them.
Mm,
Okay? So, if you're telling me you don't want to take your meds because you feel like a zombie, I'm
yes.
here for it 1000%.
Word.
However, now you have to be more responsible for your behaviors because if
Mm,
you're not going to use this, then you have to know if you
mhm,
go from 0 to 10, you got to be able to catch it at a 3. And you got
mhm,
to be able to know, what do you need to do to de-escalate? Do you need medicine? Do you need to talk to somebody? Do you need to separate and isolate and get yourself together? What do you
mhm,
need to do at a 3 so it doesn't go any further than that? Because at a 7 or at a 5, it's out of
mhm,
control and there's no way to de-escalate it until it fizzles out. So
mhm,
knowing whatever your disorder is and how you need to manage it. If it's depression, catch it
mhm.
when you're at the point where you're just kind of like, I don't really want to go out. Don't wait until you haven't gotten out of bed in 3 months.
Girl.
So you
Ooh,
know what I'm saying? And now we're realizing that depression doesn't even look like that for most of us, because most of us don't have the luxury to lay in the bed for three
I
months
know that's right.
We just are losing the zest and the zeal for
Mhm,
life, and the things that we used to enjoy we don't find pleasure in as much,
yes.
or anymore, and so we start to isolate more and more. Not realizing, oh well, I'm still getting up and I can still smile and I can still go out and do things, but you don't you're not you're there's a dissociation going on. You're not your normal self in fully engaging in those activities. You're kind of almost from the outside looking in some situations. So from the clinical standpoint, I was a clinician for 7 years. I've been doing this work for actually 33,
Oh my
um,
goodness.
focused on being able to do readings and predicting childbirth and relationships and business, all kinds of stuff, right? And just
Thrill,
giving it away,
magic.
just
Yes.
giving it away, giving it away, giving it away. And as a clinician for 17 years, I am a hell of an interventionist. I don't care what's wrong. We can reduce it. If you're doing it 7 out of 7 days, we can get it down to 2 out of 7 days. We can eliminate it. The problem was it's going to manifest somewhere else. So then I'm like,
Mm,
okay, well, let's look at it from a spiritual point. We got
yes.
the behaviors get underway. We got the spirit. Let's get the spirit. So let's go through deliverance and let's study and let's renew the mind and let's do all the things, right. And growing up, my mom was a Seventh-day Adventist. My stepfather was right next to the imam. We built the Quranic school in North Carolina in Greensboro, and then my father operated as a Rasta. So I did
Wow.
not get baptized or take the shahada or do anything until I was an adult, for
Hmm.
myself, because my parents felt like that's a decision that you should be making consciously after you've lived some life to decide what pathway you want to is going to work for you.
Wow.
So I got out here, got knowledge of self, dealt with the nations of the gods and the earth, was under a Yoruba priestess, just studied all different kinds of ways to be able to address issues, right?
Yes.
And speak to people in their own language, right?
Yes.
Um, but people would still, as the Bible says, return back to their vomit. And I'm just like,
Mm.
okay, I don't want to be a part of the 10. I don't want to take people's money and they're actually not getting what they need. So let me just, whatever. I test well. I went and got a broker's license and became a broker for 10 years. And then I woke up angry, like
Mm.
really angry, right? And most Black women are angry for two reasons.
Mm.
One, we're not living in our purpose.
I know that's right.
That will have you very angry every day and you won't even know why.
Hmm.
The other reason why many of us, Black and brown women, are angry is because we are dominant in every space that we are in. And in our relationship, we need to have somewhere where we can be submissive. Most of us have operated so much throughout the day that by the end of the day, I know for myself, when I'm in full throttle, I have decision fatigue. I don't even want to decide what I'm going to eat.
I know
I
that's
want
right.
I want you to be like, babe, we're eating salmon tonight. We're eating whatever we're eating tonight. Throw on the red dress and be ready by 7.
I love that.
That's what I need. I don't need
Yes.
somebody who's
And,
like,
and-
Asha, what
and
do
give
you
me
want to
at
do?
least two options. I like a couple of options. Just give me something I can choose from, and I'll choose it.
I don't. Because for me, I've had to be the leader all day.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
most Black and brown women have to be the leader all day. You
Yeah.
don't want to come home and also still have to be the leader. Now, of course,
Mm.
we run our households and we do what we need to do along those lines. But most women don't even realize this. They need a space to submit. The
Mm.
problem is, unfortunately, a lot of the masculine energies, male and female, don't understand that dominance is not about being domineering.
Mm.
When you're in the dominant position, the person who submits to you is the one who's in control.
Can you
You're,
explain that? Can you explain that to the people?
yes. Okay. So if I am, think about it as a parent. The parent is the dominant entity in the household, right? So the mother is looking at her children and she's seeing this one is artistic and this one is physical. So I'm going to create a space where this one can be physical and this one can be artistic,
Hmm.
right? They set that standard. They're actually in control by showing her that
This
they
is
are
what I like to do.
athletic.
Yeah, this is what I like to do. Hmm.
Correct. Showing them that I'm artistic. So then you take that information and you create a scene, you create an environment for them to thrive in.
Yes.
As a woman who has to be dominant in every area of her life, to have a man who can look at the situation and be like, I already know today was a rough day. She's not going to want to think about anything. So
Hmm.
let me go ahead and already have the things that she needs in order for her,
I love
right?
that. Thank you.
She is in control
Mm.
because it's her needs.
Yes.
But he is providing that space for her needs to be met, right?
Yes, I love that. Yes.
The problem though is you have a lot of alphas and betas who are not operating in divine masculinity,
Mm.
because that divine masculinity doesn't have the ego and the patriarch that says, oh, I can't run this bathwater. I can't be conscious of her to serve her. She has to serve me.
Mm.
And so the
That's
problem
our
is,
programming. That's our
it's
programming.
that programming, right?
That's our
And
programming.
so we as the women now are in this dynamic with this masculine entity that is trying to dominate us and domineer over us because it's actually not more dominant than us. So it's
Mm.
very difficult for a lot of us who operate, like I said, throughout the day in a very dominant space. You are the leader. So,
Mhm.
in order for the leader to be led, you have to be led by a comparable leader,
Yes.
someone who has sense enough and forethought enough to
Yes.
actually lead you.
Yes.
But most of us won't wait long enough for that man to show up, or that woman to show up, or that masculine entity to show up. And
Oof.
so then we settle,
Oof. Oof. Girl.
and we're constantly having to take the reins.
Oh,
And now you got a problem, because when the man is not able to accomplish, the masculine entity is not able to accomplish the goal, now he's emasculated.
woo! And you didn't even mean for that to happen.
But the problem
Oh,
was in the picking. You shouldn't have picked that Negro in the first place.
I know that's right.
How can he lead you? How can he
Woo!
show you?
Girl.
Especially for a woman like myself. I was raised in a two-parent household.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So there's always going to be a level of assertiveness that was imputed in me, because I was surrounded by men who
Mhm.
taught me how to be in my place. And
Yeah.
not like in a negative way, because women hear that, oh, woman's place. It's wonderful over here in the
Mhm.
feminine. It is. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with settling, because I swear we're the only ones that are expected to accept less than a protector provider. There's no other culture that is because you don't have it.
Mhm.
No, go over there with the brothers who got it and figure out how to get it, and then come back.
Mhm.
Don't tell us to accept less. We need leadership, even if we are strong. Because I'm
Woo!
telling you, I have been in that space where I get so quiet. I talk like a little baby, talk like a little girl. I don't want to. What are we doing? Because I know you got me. I can be in that feminine space. So anytime I hear that, oh, she's too masculine, I just get real quiet, because I already know male and female, you're gonna have masculine and feminine energy in that space. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the sex that should come from.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if she's being masculine, you must be being feminine. And so we gotta work on that. Not that a man can't be in a feminine space, but when it comes to specifically what we're talking about, that leadership,
Yes.
being able to look at and assess the situation and know what you need to do for that woman so that she can just relax.
Yes.
She
Yes.
been
Yes.
the
Yes.
boss all day.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
fight her to be the boss. Just be the
Mhm.
man.
Just be the man. And it's
The
very true
man,
that we both, as men and women, have masculine and feminine attributes. The key is to, are the scales balanced, my G? Are the
yes,
scales balanced, my G? For
yes,
so many years, I was complete in my masculine. Oh my goddess. And balancing that scale is has been very interesting. It has been a struggle at times. Are you there, my love? It
yes,
has
I'm
been.
here. I had to
It's
run
okay.
and let the
Take your time.
maintenance in.
It's
My
okay.
AC is out,
It
child.
has
It's
been a
hot in here.
struggle at times. However, like you said, it is gorgeous over here being in the feminine,
Yes,
being soft, being able to relax, being able to receive, be open and receptive
yes,
to receive from uh, the universe, from another person, instead of being on guard.
yes. But the problem is you have to be, because again, when you understand how predator and prey works, you can't be
Woo.
delusional, right? Like most men don't even think about the safety of their physical body until they're arrested. As a woman, as soon as you walk out your door, you better check your surroundings.
Mhm.
Before you get out your car, you better see what's going on.
Yes, yes, yes,
We
yes.
have to be conscious of our physical bodies at all times,
Mhm.
because of the predators that are loose out
Mhm.
here, not operating in their divinity. And then we won't even get into the whole population of involuntarily celibate men who are
Mhm.
hell of aggressive right now. That's a
Ooh,
whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
girl.
But it's, yeah. Because again, look how you were behaving. Like you said, there's no balance here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're only operating from a very lower level, very emotionally driven space,
Mhm.
instead of being centered and in a place where you can lead.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been interesting. So I can't, it's all a mindset. I think the main thing, going back to that question, people think something is wrong with them. And as long
Mm-hmm.
as you're walking around thinking something is wrong with you, you're going to continue to play into those stereotypes and those roles that you've been cast in. Specifically, you know, as family members, you only have a certain role, and if that role is taken, if you can't be the sick one, then you got to be the smart one. If you can't be the smart one, you got to be the troubled one. Like, everybody's got these different roles that they have to play. And really, it's all about coming into the place of doing the work within yourself first, and
Mm-hmm.
really understanding where you are, and where you need to be, and being honest with yourself enough to do the work. And so, from the spiritual standpoint, it was great. From the clinical standpoint, it was great. But if your mind is not right, if you are so conditioned to
Mm-hmm.
believe a certain way, then you will continue to operate that way. You won't know the value of yourself. You won't know the value of your gifts. You won't even know your purpose and why you're here. And so you're just kind of spinning your wheels. And that's got to be one of the most frustrating things, is to be moving in the wrong direction. You're putting all this energy in the wrong direction. We need clear direction. We need to see an actual change. And so for me, the Remind protocol, I did it first. As an
Yes.
empath, I was,
Yes.
my father was a malignant narcissist. My
Mm-hmm.
stepfather was a covert narcissist. My mom was
Mm-hmm.
the refrigerator mom. Like, all the things that would make you not be able to function, right? And to think that love has to be associated with abuse and neglect and fear
Mm-hmm.
and lack and all of these things, right? Because no empath meets their first narcissist as an adult. As soon as you see them, you would be like, oh, there's no way, get out of here, right? You've been conditioned, you've been trained to believe that you've got to accept some measure of abuse or hurt or trauma or something to get the love, because that's how it's always been, right? But the reality, because especially if you're just a supply, right? And then even understanding that, that's a hard pill to swallow, right?
Yeah,
That
of
you're
course.
actually not a person, that this is not a real relationship. You are literally just supply. And
Mm-hmm.
all of this love bombing and devaluing and hoovering you back and all of these things is all part of this cycle to keep you disoriented. Because if you
Yes.
ever stop for a second to really think or get away from it and hear your own thoughts, you'll start to realize something is not right. And then the
Mm-hmm.
more you really understand what's going on, you realize what's not right. And so for me, I was super reactive, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, woo. And I done messed up jobs,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, business partnerships, all because of my reactivity. I did
Mm-hmm.
not understand the difference between a reaction and a response.
Mm-hmm.
Your reaction is always emotionally driven, and those are usually the things that you regret.
Mm-hmm.
A response, you have an expected goal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring understanding in this situation. I want to bring clarity. I want to bring peace.
Yeah.
Whatever, you have a purpose here. And so when you have a purpose, then your conversation is going to be focused on that purpose. When you're emotional, your conversation is going to be making them feel how they made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So if they
Yes.
piss you off, you're gonna piss them off. If
Get
they
your
hurt your
time
feelings,
on.
you want them to be sad. If
Yes.
you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And listen, my
Yes.
moon and my Venus is in Scorpio. So please tell me I did the job well, honey, because that's what I intended to do. Thank you for telling me I was effective in hurting your feelings. I did so because I wanted you to feel exactly how you made me feel. Thanks. Yeah, reactive, right? But it
Yes.
doesn't get you anywhere.
Yes.
It gets
Yes.
you nowhere, right? But when you respond, then you're able to cultivate relationships or realize they need to end.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's sometimes we get reactive because we don't want to end that relationship. We know we need to end.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
serves us none, it serves them none. That the
Mm.
lesson that they need is losing you. And
Yes.
we're steady holding on to people because we're afraid of what's going to happen when you don't have me in your life anymore. Who knows? Let the universe deal with it. The ancestors or somebody, I don't know. Ain't none of your
I
business.
know that's right. I
We
know
got to
that's
let it go.
yeah.
So,
So for no, so for those that feel stuck or stagnant or disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
what is one thing that they can do, one small actionable step that they can take today, right now, to reconnect, to
Okay.
reconnect?
So, what you can always do is center yourself, get somewhere quiet. I tell people all the time, pick a number. Whatever your number is, use that as the number of breaths that you're going to take. You do the in through the nose, out through the mouth. Make sure you're extending the belly into a good pot belly breath. And then sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do you need to affirm? Um, if you're battling fear, then you need to affirm courage. So, one very easy thing that everybody can do is get your affirmations together. If
Mm,
it's just one, and don't just say it in the mirror. But even better, we've got technology. Record yourself saying the affirmation and then have a conversation with yourself each time you need to affirm. This is something that can be done very easily, and it's a mindset thing. It will definitely get into your subconscious, especially when you divinely pick a number and you are meditating on your breath, on that, breathing in peace, breathing out whatever it is that you, chaos, breathing in safety, breathing out fear. Like, what you can do, that breath exchange as well. That's a very easy technique that you can do. I do guided affirmations and guided meditations for people impromptu. So you can call me, you done had a beat down day at the job and you feeling incompetent. You tell me what it is. We'll get you a good affirmation going. You got a recording and you can take it on about your business.
mhm,
So these are
mhm.
things that you can do yourself. The
Now, how
breath
long
work.
is someone listening to a recording, right? Because sometimes a lot of people are like, well, I don't have time. I don't have 10 minutes. I don't have 20 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes.
Girl, ain't nobody getting ready to record no 20-minute, 30-minute. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. It's gonna get you right where you need. You don't need all that. You just need a reminder.
Mm,
Reminders, you know, you don't want to, you're not beating yourself up because you don't want this to be something like a task. We already got mantras we got to sing and candles we got to burn, and we got to watch
I
the
know
moon,
that's
and we
right.
got to be out here in the sun, and we got to be out
I
here and
know
got
that's
cards for
right.
crystals, and we got to go here and we got to do the cards, and we got all of the things that we got to do. Child, we don't need no more things to do. We need this to be as simple and as user friendly as possible.
I
We just need
know
some
that's
breath
right.
exchanges. We need a good affirmation. Record yourself, do it in the mirror until you believe it, period. And
I
move
know
to the next one. You don't need a list. You don't need a workbook. And if you got a list and you got a workbook, work it. But you
Mhm.
said something quick, easy, and tangible that people can do today if you feel stuck. Ask
Yes.
yourself, why are you stuck?
Mm,
What do I need to do? Where
mhm.
do I need to go? And not from a place of desperation, but a place of knowing
Yeah.
that your higher self is going to tell you and lead you. Your ancestors are going to tell you and lead you. Your spirit is going to tell you and lead you. But you
Yes.
have to know that.
Yes. Yes. Very true. Oh my God, it's Asha. We can talk forever.
You know,
Let's pull some cards, please.
girl,
Please,
I've
let's pull
already
some
pulled
cards.
three.
Yes,
So
okay.
I pulled three when we were first talking, and then I pulled three more as well. So it's so funny. I wish I had told you I had already pulled the cards because girl, when I tell you what the cards are, um,
Please.
yeah, it definitely lines up. So this particular deck, um, it is a um it's out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So I moved here from Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Originally from Hampton, Virginia. I've been up and down the East Coast, live in New York, North Carolina, Virginia here. So this is
Tarot
out of
Human
Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Um, you can order them online. I like it because it's not a traditional tarot. It
Okay.
has, so this is the first card that I pulled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dealing with trying.
Trying.
The next was the hope in the face of obstacles. And the
Mm,
third was rebelling against expectations. I feel like our conversation kind of lined up with this. You just asked, people are trying, they feel stuck. What can
mm.
they do?
Yes, yes, yes,
Where is
yes.
their hope? to get over these obstacles. And it is really coming from having to rebel against some of these norms. Things that people are saying that you shouldn't be doing is the very thing you need to be doing, baby. You
That's
need
a
all the
scripture.
instruments, all the crystals, all the cards, all the,
Mhm.
everything.
Yes.
And you need to get into a space where you realize the mind
Mm-hmm.
is what controls it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do this little trick with the lemon
Mm.
that gets people to realize how powerful the mind is,
Okay.
that it can cause your body to respond and react to something that's not there.
Now, what is
Um,
this trick with the lemon?
okay, so real quick, close your eyes.
Okay.
All right, so just imagine you have a beautiful, organic, freshly plucked lemon in your hand. And it is so fresh and ripe, you can smell it through the skin. You take a knife and you cut it open, and the citrus just bursts out. You can smell it, you can taste it before you even get it. You're moving it closer to your mouth. You bite down into that lemon, and that juice is all in your mouth. It's coming down your face, it's all on your hand. Your body just responded. Did your mouth water like you
My
had a
mouth
lemon?
watered as soon as you said I can smell it through the skin
Your
automatically.
your mind starts telling your mouth to
Mhm.
prepare for a lemon
Yes, yes,
that is not there.
yes.
You do not have a lemon in your hand.
Right.
Your mind can cause your body to react to things that are not there.
I know that's right. I
So
know
if your
that's
mind
right.
is powerful enough to respond to a lemon that you do not have in your hand, your
Mhm.
mind can heal you. Your mind can make you sick. If you
Yes.
say, I just want to lay in bed for a week, guess what? Your body will become sick. And guess
Mm,
what you'll do? Lay in bed all week. You better be very specific of the things that you say out of your mouth because your
I know
subconscious and your ancestors and everybody else is taking note.
that. Mm,
And
mm.
it doesn't understand these negatives that we're speaking in. We need to speak affirmative right now, present tense. I
Yes.
am.
Yes.
Period.
I am affirmative present tense right now.
Yes. Yes.
Affirmative present tense. I am right now.
And so when people realize that, how powerful the mind is, if it can do something that simple just with a lemon,
Hence, I
imagine,
am right
imagine what it can do for
now.
trauma. Imagine what it can do for anything that is going on. It starts with the mind. If you can think it, how many stories have we heard of people who were sick and healed their body? How many people who were in certain situations and because of the power of the mind they were able to overcome and get
Yes,
out?
yes,
Superhuman. You've been trapped somewhere for longer than you should be able to survive, but you
yes.
survived because mentally you told yourself you're
Hmm.
getting out of here,
Yes,
right?
yes. I have the will to live. I have the will to survive. I am surviving. I am living. Yes.
So if your mind can keep you alive,
Hmm.
it certainly can heal some old trauma.
I know that's right.
It certainly can heal some old wounds. It certainly can heal some mixed up mindsets
Hmm.
that have you believing things that are contrary to the truth.
Hmm.
Certainly it can. And so that's what I focus on is starting with the mind.
Hmm.
I have recently partnered with some amazing people. I've got a homeopathic doctor. I've got the what
Tell
is
us all
that?
about it. Tell us
Oh
all
my
about it.
God! So I've got to get the information. We were all together yesterday and kind of brought up on stage and had an opportunity to do some networking. Another
Mm.
sister that does the what is it? When you look in the eyes.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
I,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I
oh my
have a couple
God!
who does that.
Super dope. She's got that. The other one is she was a practicing nurse practitioner and then woke and then was like, I can't keep killing people. I'm done. She threw away her license and
Mm.
became a homeopathic doctor.
Mm.
I'm super excited about the work that we're doing. What I'm looking to do is to be able to, you know, how if you're in when you go to your doctor and it's like, oh, you these are the people that are in network. I
Yes.
want to be able to create an in network. So if
Mm.
you're in New York,
Yes,
there's practitioners that you can see. If you're in Atlanta, if you're in Chicago, wherever you are, if you're in Costa Rica, there's
yes,
somebody there that can plug you into the things that you need because it's a
yes,
holistic approach. I
yes.
don't bash clinical therapy. That's what my degrees are in. I don't
Mm-hmm.
bash spirituality because I've studied it all. I don't,
Yes.
all of these things can be done in concert, but I have found that if you start with the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and believing, thinking your way whole, and
Mm-hmm.
really being able to see where there is the incongruence, where the disconnect occurred, and how to bring it back to alignment so that you remember you're beautifully and marvelously made. There's nothing wrong with you, regardless of what happened to you, it is for your purpose. Most of the trauma and things that we have experienced is because we have a calling to help those people, but we first must overcome. We first must heal in
Woo!
order to be able to lead the way to say, hey, I know how to get from Piedmont Park to, um, you know, Whole Foods on 10th Street because I've walked so many times. Some of
Mhm.
us have that type of experiential knowledge, but until we release those things that we need to, so that we're not off putting, we're
Mm,
not beating people up trying to heal them
mm.
because we're being triggered in our own wounds.
Yeah. Wow, Asha, thank you so much, my G. Wow. So I just pulled some cards too from the Sacred Geometry Activation
Okay.
um, Oracle deck.
Okay.
And the two that came out, this one, authority,
Ooh.
authority, authority, authority. So what this is saying to me is basically you are in control. You have the power. You have the power to create your own reality. You have the power to heal yourself. You are the authority in your life. So so many times we have been programmed to believe that our power and our authority comes from outside of us. It comes from other people. But yet the magic you hold, the authority you hold is within you. You have the power and authority to change your life. Also, we
Absolutely.
we have here the throat chakra card, card number 5.
Ooh.
Yes, Spirit is asking us to really speak our truth. What
Mm.
this brings me to is when you say you bring your clients through 3 phases and they're able to tell you and voice exactly what is going on so that they
Mhm.
can get to the root of the issue so it can be
Yes.
healed. I
Yes.
mean, Spirit is really asking us to tap in, and this is one of the chakras that Spirit really first had me activate in my
Mhm.
healing, my throat chakra, speaking your truth, um, being firm and being strong. Bottom of the deck, we have here delight. We have here delight. The frequency of delight supports our capacity to create an experience of freedom and intense joy. Really, what's on the other side of freeing ourselves, freeing our mind, freeing our body is also what I'm hearing is joy, delight, happiness, y'all.
Mm.
Joy,
Yes.
delight, and happiness. At the bottom of this deck, of course, I got to tap into the African Goddess Rising Oracle deck by Abiola Abrams.
You better do it.
Yes, I love you, Goddess Abiola.
Is
At
this
the bottom,
is this one or is it a different one? Let me see
no,
yours.
no, no, no. This is the African Goddess Rising by Abiola Abrams. What
Ah,
is that deck that you have? What
girl,
was
let me
that?
tell you. This one here, baby. This one. This one here.
Hold
Oh,
on,
this
let
is
me
a
see.
really good Oracle one. And then this one, I have not used as much. I need to play around. This is a pretty new one. I've had the other two for a good little minute, but this is a really good one too.
And the other one was Afro Goddesses. Okay.
Yes, Afro Goddesses Oracle.
Oracle. Perfect. Okay, love it. Thank you for that. So yeah, so at the bottom of this deck we have here Mama Kumba Bang. She is the goddess of speak up. Spirit is really asking you to speak up and speak out. Whatever it is, speak your truth. Your truth matters. Use your throat chakra. Sing. Public speaking. I'm seeing even going live on your page if you create content. Yeah, there goes Carmelo, my dog, confirming. And then we have two other cards that popped out. Thank you, goddesses. We have here Queen Nefertiti. She is the goddess of alchemy. And her
Yes.
goddess declaration is everything I touch turns to gold. Everything I touch turns to gold. It's really a
Wow.
time of realization and remembrance, right? And I feel like with this remind protocol and really diving in deep, that's when we're really able to remember who we are, that we are goddesses, that we are gods, and everything we touch turns to gold. Behind that, we have Nana Baluku. She is the goddess of seasons, and Nana Baluku stands at the threshold. We just had this new moon in Cancer, new beginnings, fresh starts, planting seeds. We are in a period of transition. Okay. And in order to,
Are you still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
You still there?
I'm still here. Are you still there? We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, beautiful. We can see you and
I
we
had
can
to.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. I can't see you, but I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then below that we have Nana Baluku. She is the goddess of seasons. She is a matriarch that stands at the threshold. With this new moon in Cancer that just came through, we planted seeds for our new beginnings. And Spirit is really asking you to release what does not serve you and put into the universe what you want, right? This goes back to also
Mm,
speaking these positive affirmations to ourselves, these I ams. And because on the other side of this threshold is so many ooey gooey juiciness, new beginnings. So
right.
speak your truth, free your mind, so your body and the rest will follow. Yeah, because everything you touch turns to gold, and this is a period of happiness, of
Oh
harvest.
man, I
Yeah.
received that for sure.
Thank you.
Because we've done a lot of drama and a lot of sadness and a lot of all the things. So it is an amazing time to hear things like joy and happiness coming
Yeah.
about and us being able to actually see the manifestation. So that's
Yeah.
super.
I'm gonna pull just from this deck, and then
Okay.
we're gonna get out of here. Do you have any extra? Do you have any other messages for us before we get out of here?
Just be kind to yourself. You
Mm,
know, talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend if they called you with that same issue. So
mm,
often we have a horrible self talk for ourselves, but we're so kind and patient and loving and supportive of other people. Show that same love, support, and kindness to yourself.
mhm. Thank you for that. So true. So true. Spirit, do you have any messages for us? This is the Power of Surrender deck by Dr. Judith Orloff. Do you have any messages for us from the Power of Surrender deck? I'm sure you do. You directed me to it. Hmm. Do you have any messages for us? Please deliver all messages face up.
Yes.
Thank you, Spirit. Yes, here we go. Surrender to silence. Woo! Surrender to silence, y'all. You know,
Ashay.
sometimes you have to go within, right? You must go within.
Yes.
So that's part of the reason why Spirit moved me to the jungle, right? So that
Okay.
exactly, right? So that I could get quiet,
Mhm.
and reacquaint with myself, to to get to know myself so that my gifts can embark, so that I can look myself in the mirror and really see what the fuck is going on, right? Because with all the noise around, you're wearing all these different masks. You have no idea what is going on, and spirit is really asking you to get silent. Whether it's you take a walk around the block for 5 minutes, whether it is you take an extra 10 minutes in the shower, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To really tap in and get a little silent, because the noise sometimes really gets loud. And just know, once again, surrender to passion on the bottom of the deck. Sometimes the noise is just really loud, and that is a distraction. Just understand that is a distraction, and spirit is really asking you to release what does not serve you. I shuffled the cards many times, and surrender to passion is still on the bottom of the deck. Still on the bottom of the deck. Spirit is asking y'all to tap in. Do what makes you happy. Do what brings you joy. Do what is really passionate in your soul. Whatever lights you up, do that thing.
Yes.
Do
Oh my gosh,
yes.
So
wow.
neat.
Well, let me put your information up here for the people. Please contact Asha. That is her email address right there, ashabluesees@gmail.com, her phone number, and her website, theremindprotocol.com. Thank you so much, Asha, for being here with us. I am so grateful to have met you, and I am so grateful that you reached out to me and that we are here together again. I hope to do this many more times. Thank you, everyone who watched today on Instagram, over on YouTube, and everyone who's going to watch on the replay. Thank you so much. Let me go over to YouTube and see if anyone. Oh, yes, Dr. Karina Lopez. That is who does the iridology. She's a homeopath doctor. When you were talking about Vitalist healing traditions. Yes, that is my friend, Dr. Karina Lopez. She's from the BX, from the Bronx. Now she lives in Greece with her man in the mountains, spreading her music all over the world. Yes, tune in. My foot is better after you blessed it. Oh, thank you, Monkey. Yes, Monkey, I love you and your foot. All right, y'all. Don't forget to please like, share, subscribe, follow the Margarita Room podcast across all platforms. Holla at me on the email if you're feeling generous. Definitely, you could send me a donation to my Cash App, $ the Margarita Fund, for healing energy services, custom EFT, tapping affirmations, AcuDetox, ear acupuncture, Reiki, access bars, human design, spiritual guidance, breathwork, dance, all that and more. Holla at me. That is my website. For my reviews of the food, the restaurants, you know, your girl loves to eat. Check me out there on Fork and Around 1. Remember, the universe is working in my favor.
All the time, conspiring for you, baby. Yes. Absolutely. Universe, the ancestors, and you.
Yes. The National Domestic Violence Hotline. That is the phone number right there, 800-799-SAFE. You can also text START to 88788. There is their website. Remember, y'all, love is respect, and everyone deserves a healthy relationship. Remember to ask, believe, act, allow, receive. And finally, y'all, Escape the Matrix Nomad Transitioning Lab cohort number 2. Y'all know I am the leader of Escape the Matrix Nomad Transitioning Lab, where I assist other Black and Brown women who are ready to exit the United States with strategy and soul. This is where we do the work inside the lab. It's a 12-week group container. We meet 6 times every other week. You will have access to guided meditations. By the end of the 12 weeks, you will have your exit plan, your strategy in place. And if you are interested in joining cohort number 2 of Escape the Matrix Nomad Transitioning Lab, we begin in July. That is the link to join me, tinyurl.com/free woman path.
I love
Yes.
it.
All right. I love y'all. Let me leave this up here. I love y'all so much. Thank you, Asha, for tuning in, for coming into the Margarita Room. Girl, we've been here for almost an
Oh my
hour and a half.
child, thank you for having me. Listen, that's what happens when the energy exchange is divine, honey.
Yeah,
Time just goes away and you just are enjoying the moment. Thank
yeah,
you so much for having me. Thank you so much for continuing to do the work and being in place so that when I reached out, there was a platform to even be on. So thank you so much because it can get discouraging sometimes to continue to press forward. So I'm just so grateful for the work that you're doing, for how you are helping these transitions, because so many of us need to get out of here. I'm probably coming too. So
yeah.
let's figure it out, because again, like I said, it's something about the Costa Rica thing. So I was just so excited when I met you then to be like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm keeping up with her and I'm gonna reach out when the time is right. And Spirit was like, hey, reach out and just see what's going on. And then here we are an hour and a half later into an interview. So
Yes.
thank you so much for just again being in place and continuing to do the work and continuing to be the spirit and be the light that you were called to be, because there's so much sadness, there's so much heaviness out here. So the dance, the
Mm,
excitement, the energy that you exchange in the universe is so appreciated, it's so needed, it is so valuable. And I just thank you so much for continuing to do it.
thank you. Thank you for seeing me and for receiving the medicine. Thank you to the Most High because this comes from them. I am just the divine channel that was chosen to radiate this energy to the world. So
Okay.
I am very grateful. I am very, very, very grateful. Thank you, Asha. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in, and we will see you again.
Yes,
Love
yes, yes. Thank you so
y'all.
much. Mwah. Thank
Bye.
you.